Unanswered questions after a 911 call in Pueblo from a funeral home and cemetery. August 11th, just before 3:30 in the morning, the police department communications center got a call that they refer to as abandoned, meaning the other person hung up. So they called back, got an answer, and heard mostly static.
Hello?
Imagine your life turning upside down in an instant. Explosions, shocking betrayals, and deadly secrets coming to light.
911, what is the address to your emergency?
By the Fourth Street Laundromat.
What is it?
Fourth Street Laundromat.
What's the problem?
I've been abducted.
The 911 call is chilling.
But you're at the laundromat?
No, I'm in the bedroom with them.
You don't know what color the house is?
No. Please hurry.
What if everything you knew about safety, trust, and justice was shattered in moments?
Your name?
Debbie Stevens, please help me. I don't want to die.
You're not going to die. Hold on for a minute.
Well, I'm scared. I'm sorry. I didn't know the water. I couldn't see the water. And when I came up on it, man, it just all of a sudden hit me.
This year's most gripping 911 calls tell stories you won't believe. Stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Don't miss out. Discover the truth now. Call number 1. The explosion at Sandman Signature Hotel. In the late afternoon of a typical day in downtown Fort Worth, Texas, an explosion rocked the Sandman Signature Hotel, leaving behind chaos, confusion, and a gaping wound in the heart of the community. The blast occurred at 3:30 p.m., and in an instant, the area was plunged into terror. As 911 calls flooded in, the dispatchers were confronted with the desperate cries of people trapped inside, their lives in immediate danger. One frantic caller, trapped in an elevator, could barely breathe through the thick smoke, her voice trembling as she begged for help. "Please hurry," she pleaded. "We're stuck in the elevator and there's smoke. It's on fire." Meanwhile, other callers, some of whom were far from the scene, reported hearing a deafening boom. Witnesses described pieces of the building flying through the air, debris scattering the street. There was a big explosion, one caller stated, voice shaking. "I don't know if it's the hotel or the restaurant, but there's a lot of smoke." What started as a regular afternoon quickly morphed into an inferno. The explosion tore through the hotel, blowing out windows and scattering debris in every direction. Firefighters and police rushed to the scene, but answers about the cause of the blast remained elusive. A gas leak was initially suspected, but Atmos Energy, the company under scrutiny, denied any responsibility, leaving an unshakable cloud of doubt over the investigation. The chaos, the loss, and the sense of unease ripped Fort Worth's community as they waited for answers. The investigation continues, and with it, the desperate cries of those who were affected by this horrific event. Families, businesses, and the entire city of Fort Worth are left to wonder what went wrong and how this tragedy could have been prevented. Call number 2. A tragic domestic dispute in Illinois. On a quiet Sunday morning in Tinley Park, Illinois, 63-year-old Mahar Qasim made a chilling 911 call, confessing to an act of unspeakable violence. In the house he had spent decades building for his family, Mahar had ended the lives of his wife and 3 daughters, driven by a deep sense of frustration and feeling unappreciated. "I worked 40 years to give them a better life," he told the dispatcher, voice steady yet tinged with resentment, "and they treat me like a dog." Mahar's voice cracked as he recounted his feelings of betrayal and isolation, his anger finally boiling over. The incident, a tragic culmination of a financial dispute, left the entire community in shock. The daughters, bright young women with futures full of promise, were taken too soon, their lives cut short by a domestic conflict that spiraled beyond control. As the family grieves, questions remain. What pushed Mahar to this point? Was it the culmination of years of hardship, or did something more sinister lurk beneath the surface? For the surviving 19-year-old son, who was witness to this horrifying act, the future is uncertain. His life, forever marked by the trauma, will never be the same. Call number 3. The collapse of a historic church. January 25, 2024 began like any other day in New London, Connecticut. But for the First Congregational Church, it marked the end of an era. As the church's steeple collapsed without warning, it sent shockwaves through the community, leaving a massive hole not only in the physical landscape, but in the hearts of its members. The church, a historic landmark and a place of refuge for many, had been a vital part of the community for years. It wasn't just a building, it was a sanctuary, providing food, support, and solace to those in need. But with the collapse, everything changed. Miraculously, no one was killed in the incident, though one person was inside at the time. They later expressed gratitude, calling it a miracle that they escaped unharmed. However, the loss of the church's services, like the breakfast program for the needy, left a void in the lives of many. As demolition of the structure began, the community rallied around the church's congregation, with local businesses stepping in to provide meals and assistance. Yet the question remains, how could something so tragic happen so suddenly? The community's resilience in the face of such destruction is commendable, but rebuilding, both physically and emotionally, will be no easy feat. Call number 4. The shocking discovery of Darnell Taylor's fate. On a quiet morning in Brooklyn, Ohio, 48-year-old Pammy May made a devastating 911 call. Her husband, after discovering that their 5-year-old foster child, Darnell Taylor, was missing, was left in a state of shock and disbelief. When Pammy entered the room to make a confession, the truth was too horrific to comprehend. "I got something serious to tell you," she began. "He's not here anymore." Pammy's chilling words would be the start of an investigation that would uncover the tragic fate of Darnell Taylor. The boy had been murdered by Pammy May, who had taken him into her custody under the guise of kinship care. What prompted such an unspeakable act remains a mystery, though Pammy's history of mental health issues, including bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, adds another layer of complexity to this tragedy. Pammy has been charged with murder, kidnapping, and endangerment, but the emotional damage inflicted on the surviving family members is immeasurable. Darnell's grandparents, who had been caring for him prior to Pammy taking custody, are left heartbroken, grappling with the loss of a child they had grown to love and care for. Call number 5. A bank hostage situation unfolds. A typical morning in Fort Myers, Florida, was abruptly disrupted when Sterling Ramon Alabach entered the Bank of America, claiming he had a bomb. In a tense and frightening standoff, Alabach took hostages, holding a knife to one and threatening violence. "I don't want to shoot him," one of the hostages cried into the phone. "Please, don't make me." The call, full of fear and desperation, revealed the emotional toll this ordeal was taking on the people trapped inside. Witnesses outside the bank described a chaotic scene as the police swarmed the area. A sniper, positioned to neutralize the threat, ultimately fired the fatal shot that ended Alabach's life, saving the hostages and law enforcement officers in the process. But despite the resolution, questions linger. What led Alabach, whose life had been plagued by mental health and substance abuse issues, to this fateful act, and why, despite his struggles, had he come to believe that taking hostages and threatening violence was his only way out? Call number 6. A 12-year-old driving alone on I-15. In a shocking twist, a routine report of a possible drunk driver on I-15 in Utah turned into a revelation that left authorities stunned. The drunk driver, a 12-year-old girl, alone in her mother's car, swerving erratically across the highway. The 911 call came from a concerned semi-truck driver who had been following the girl's car for miles. They're swerving back and forth, the truck driver reported, and the headlights are off. When officers finally stopped the vehicle, they were stunned to discover the young girl behind the wheel, having taken her mother's car without permission. The girl was returned to her parents, but the event left many wondering what could have driven her to take such a dangerous risk at such a young age. Call number 7. An alligator's surprising break-in. In one of the more unusual 911 calls of the year, a woman in Venice, Florida, found herself in a standoff with an alligator that had broken into her house. The 911 dispatcher listened in disbelief as the woman described how the alligator had entered through the screen door and made itself comfortable inside. "An alligator just broke into my house," the woman reported calmly, though her tone betrayed her fear. "It's about 6 or 7 feet long." Animal control and law enforcement quickly responded, arriving on the scene to safely remove the alligator. The bizarre incident raised questions about how the creature managed to make its way from the wild into the woman's home. Was it merely a fluke of nature, or was something more at play? You just witnessed the kind of chaos that no one sees coming. But there's more. Our next video dives deep into deadly love triangles that ended in murder. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Hit that subscribe button and join us on this thrilling ride through the most shocking stories. Don't let anyone else spoil it. Be the first to know.